Okay, we are at St. Casito Orphanage and Primary School, where orphans come to live and get grades 1 through 6 education, and that's for free. What we have over here, these buildings, the wood buildings, are temporary classrooms. So they have some permanent buildings, but they also are beyond capacity. So they have these temporary buildings which are made of wood and tree branches, almost kind of log cabin style. And it's a small room. It's maybe, I don't know, 12 by 12, no, probably 15 by 15. And these rooms over here are for the younger kids. Then I have another temporary structure over here where there's 4 more classrooms. Same construction. We have wood boards for walls, which are not exactly waterproof. And then you have basically just tree branches, which are the structure of it. So these are the studs. And this is how a lot of the kids are learning. And now we're building this building over here that we're approaching, was initially intended to be a classroom, and somebody from Arizona funded it. And they just kind of did the shell, and it's been sitting here for a year. The guy from Arizona managed to raise enough money so that we can do doors and windows on it, and we're going to do that while I'm here. And I'm funding the floor. We're going to put a cement floor in here. Once we get inside, you'll see the dust floor that the kids sit in. Now, all of that said, what we're doing is we're finishing this so that it can become a temporary dormitory, so that the kids can have some place to sleep. What they were doing before is they were doing classrooms during the day, and then at night they'd throw some mattresses down on the floor and they would sleep on the floor. So this is going to become a semi-permanent dormitory until the rest of the campus really gets built. And so we're going to cement the floors. We're going to put windows on there, which is required for it to be a dormitory, and doors. And then that's going to finish this. So this is, which one is lake sand?
No, that's plaster sand.
That's plaster, so then this is lake sand.
That's what we are going to use most.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So we just got that delivered today. I have some footage of that. This is the what?
The Maramo.
That's the Maramo. Okay. Good. So we have 2 truckloads of that, and I think we have more coming.
Yeah, more hips are coming.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Now over here we have the latrines. So unlike in America and Europe and whatnot, they use latrines, and they just basically dig a hole in the ground and they put a structure up around it, and you squat and you go to the bathroom. So they need 2 latrines. They need one for boys, one for girls. They have kind of half of what they need here. They have an old one on the other side that sometimes gets used too. But right now they're kind of just making this work by using one side for the girls. This side is for the girls because of the privacy wall. And the other side gets used by the boys. I don't know if you'll be able to see in here or not. Yeah, so that is a latrine. And that's how that works. So then over here on the other side is where the boys use the privacy wall. Okay. And there's 4 slots over here where the boys can use.
The girls get symbols. The girls.
Okay, so correction, the girls are using this side and the boys are using the other side because apparently this gives more privacy being on the back, whereas the other side is facing the campus and the inspectors do not want that. Here's some of the girls, or some of the kids actually, and probably boys and girls here.
Training is in music.
And training in music. Got somebody playing the drums over there. Okay, so now we're approaching the kitchen. This is where they cook the food. This is kind of the way things are done here too. They have a little structure. They cook it over, here they're cooking over wood, but I've seen my host, the person that I'm visiting and that runs this place, they use coal outside of his house in his village. So this is how they cook all the food.
Firewood.
This is the normal firewood that they use. And so you got, nice ventilation here. So this is how they make their food for all the boys and girls here.
Preparing the rice.
This is the rice over here.
Yeah.
All right. And over here is their storage area where they keep their supplies. You can
Utensils.
see all the cups and utensils here. So not a whole lot. It can be expanded upon. Okay, so this here is what's being called a semi-permanent building. It was constructed kind of on the cheap, and so it still needs work to be done. Kind of like retrofitting in California for earthquakes. It's sort of the same thing, I guess. And I'll show you an example of kind of what needs to be reinforced here. This is one of the classrooms. They had divided these rooms into 2 classrooms each, and the inspector said no, it has to be 1. So you can see there kind of where the floor changes a little bit. That's where it was 1. They had 2 blackboards, so they had 2 different classrooms in here. So like I said, it was done kind of on the cheap, and the windows weren't finished. You can see this one needs a lot of bricks still, and it's beginning to collapse, so they need to reinforce it, and this is repairable. But it's going to take some retrofitting to get it to be a permanent building.